Hey, welcome back to the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shauna. Today, one of my favorite experts is going to be on the show. It's Christina Salwitz. She is an author that has won awards. She's experienced in writing in magazines, and her photographs just rock your sock off. She's really a wonderful expert to talk about foliage. Welcome to the show, Christina.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
Yeah, welcome, and thank you for doing this show. This is Rich Christakis, and I'm honored to be talking to you because foliage plants are one of my favorite things, and I think that there's too much emphasis on flowering plants, and people need to learn more about foliage.
I agree.
So what is it about foliage that is so unique?
Well, I think it's not... well, maybe it is a little bit unique, but it's just that you have such a vast number of choices. I mean, when people talk gardens and colors when I'm consulting, they'll say, oh, I want lots of color. And the first thing I'll say is, now it sounds like you're referring to floral color or flower color. And then they kind of have that light bulb go on, and then they start really thinking about it. And what I like to explain is that when you base most of your landscape design or a container design on foliage first, then what happens is that you can build on that with anything, whether it's blooms or a twig color or garden art or berries or whatever the next step is in your layering process. But starting with foliage, really great foliage, is it's more of an investment protection. It gives you lots more choices throughout the year. It does so much more overall for the landscape design itself.
So what do we tell these customers who, these people that come in and say, listen, if it's not flower, it's not going to work for me. What are the easy foliage choices that will get them turned on to leaves?
Yeah, well, I get fewer and fewer people that say that anymore. Actually, I'm really surprised just in the last few years how much the tide is turning and how people are really kind of turning the light on in their brain about where to start the choices. And what I tell people is, close your eyes and stand in your driveway or wherever, the front of your place is, and you're there on January 31st, and you want to kill yourself and go to Vegas, and that's all you think about is getting some sunshine. And this is actually where we start. So if you're in a very cold climate like the Midwest, we might start with twigs and berries and things like that and then add foliage layers on. But what I find is that when I'm standing in the nursery with customers or clients, I'll just start grabbing certain pieces of foliage and layering certain colors and textures together. And then they really get it. We might start with a conifer or a broadleaf evergreen shrub or something like that, depending on what the goal is. But a lot of times we start by talking about the color palette. And so if somebody says, I want really bright, bold, or I want very cool and serene or very contemporary, it kind of gives me a jumping off point for where to start.
So you're suggesting, it's not just foliage like leaves, but I mean, you said conifer, so like a needle evergreen. You're suggesting even mixing evergreens into your containers.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, well, even when we're talking containers, we can get really crazy.
I love it when you get really crazy, Christina.
Well, I mean, the thing is that you can have an insanely stunning little collector's Japanese maple with a really beautiful collector's conifer in a container and have both the seasonal aspects of the maple and the year-round aspects of a collector's type conifer to balance the year. And then you can throw in, your perennials, your annuals, things like that. So when we're talking foliage, we're talking pretty much anything that's going to be there as your base level plant year-round for design.
Oh, terrific. What about perennial plants? Because, I'm madly in love with the heuchera right now.
Coral bells.
Yeah. Coral bells are beautiful, and they come in this huge selection of color. When you're talking about container planting and foliage, I know that you've recommended coral bells as a great solution. What type of combinations can you give us an example of that might feature a coral bell in a container?
Absolutely. Well, and coming from the great tropical Northwest compared to a lot of the country, heuchera or coral bells are something we can't live without anymore. I mean, we've discovered, so many different ones that are appropriate for every different design element, from full hot blasting sun to full deep shade. So we use a lot of them, and we have to kind of be careful we don't get heuchera heavy. But some of my favorite ones for a shadier location: green spice, the silvery blue-gray green with a very rich burgundy veining. That's one of my favorites.
And what would you combine it with?
Oh gosh, that is spectacular with Japanese painted fern, especially if you have it where it's got a little bit of that purpley color showing up. And then if you wanted to add an evergreen foliage with that, the Emerald Gaiety Euonymus, the little green and kind of silvery green and white little shrub creeper.
It's a little broadleaf evergreen.
Yeah. Or, I mean, even some of the really blue hostas for that shadier location is gorgeous with it. But then heuchera for more sun. I have so many favorites. The one that I just go off on every year is Berry Smoothie. Berry Smoothie is fantastic, from partial shade to really full hot sun. And then you've got, also to expand on heuchera coral bells, you also have the tiarella, the foamy bells. And the heucherellas, which are the hybrids between the tiarellas and heucherellas. And so then you have those that can take a tremendous amount of sun and shade depending on the one. And so one of my favorite heucherellas is Sweet Tea. That is a stunning one. You stick that one under a big red banana plant in a container. Holy cow.
Well, I love the heucherella because of the multiple colors within each leaf. It just smacks you in the face when you see it. It's beautiful.
It's true for so many heuchera, and that's the beauty of them, is that, they're so flexible as a foliage plant. I can use them nearly everywhere in the garden.
Well, I keep hearing people tell me, stop talking about hostas. I mean, they tell me to, because hosta is not a native plant, and really I'm focused on green, sustainable things for the environment. But the hostas that I have actually attract hummingbirds. So I found that they've been a real joy for me. And my question for you is, are there any new hostas that are coming out that you think are fantastic, knock your socks off type of plants?
There are some crazy fun ones. I got sent one last year by a hosta breeder that is called Curly Fries.
Oh,
nice.
So cute.
It is so cute. Really long, narrow.
With curly leaves, yes.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And so mine was just a teeny, tiny slip. And so it's, barely even a 4-inch plant now. So it's going to gain some strength. But hostas really have a place in the garden. I mean, plants go through phases where they're fashionable or not fashionable. And we have a gorgeous shot in the book of a stunning combination of a very, very blue foliaged hosta called Blue Angel, which is massive, put with a hydrangea, and it's spectacular. But another new one that you want to be looking for is one called Praying Hands.
Yes.
Oh, I've not seen that one yet.
Oh, that just kind of gets me all hot and bothered.
I love the guacamole. I know it's an older one now, but I just love the ripples in the leaves. So
gorgeous. Captain Kirk is a fun one for us Star Trek fans.
Yes, we are. Christina and I are old-time Star Trek fans, addicts actually.
Absolutely.
And so
somehow I'm not surprised. But that's all right.
And then another one, if you haven't seen it, called Stained Glass.
Oh yeah,
Stained Glass is gorgeous. It's not terribly new, but
we sell lots of stained glass.
Yeah, it's just a one that just goes well with everything. But I'm a fan of the tried and true. The tried and true ones are fantastic. And the thing about sustainability and whatnot is that this is a plant that's hardcore. It doesn't need a lot of love in the way of maintenance with either pesticides, herbicides, fungicides. It doesn't need any of that. As long as it's got the right location and plenty of moisture, you're home free.
And I agree. Who wants to use pesticides if you don't have to? It's just crazy.
Exactly.
Now, I want to learn more about your book. What else going on? Fine Foliage has been a great seller this year. I know it's been very exciting. So tell me all about it.
So Karen Chapman, my co-author, is out there. As a matter of fact, she's photographing as we speak out in gardens for the new book. And then I'm going on a trip, and I'll be going out on photo shoots for a few days for the new book too. But Fine Foliage, our first book, was originally planned to be sort of a one of three. And we did the first one, and it was kind of like, oh, let's see how this goes. And it went really well.
Understatement, sister. It was fantastic. You won the gold medal at the Garden Writers Association.
That was so unexpected. That really rocked our world. We had no idea. We were on pins and needles for a week. We just couldn't even believe it. So we were floating over the moon about that. But the neat thing about Fine Foliage is that it's not a giant book, and we're not trying to overwhelm anybody with a bunch of hort speak. It's very accessible to every reader and every level of gardener. It's got a simple, straightforward format, and the format is basically you have a juicy main photo, and then we've broken up that photo into different thumbnails. They give you profiles of each plant within the photo. But the main crux of the book, and what we're most proud of, is the idea of the paragraph called Why This Works. And that explains from a designer's perspective. You see that plant combination in the garden or in the botanic garden or at the garden center in the display, and you say to yourself, I love that. That makes my heart sing. But why? Why does it work? And so what we do is we kind of demystify and sort of break down the designer's thought process for why these plants go together. So when the first book, Fine Foliage, did so well, we decided to carry on. And our new publisher decided that they loved the idea so much that we've tweaked the format a little bit. And we've kind of taken book 2 and book 3 and smashed them all together in one really big book. So that will be out in September of 2016. Very similar format, except for now what we're doing is we're explaining from a design standpoint how you take your foliage-based design and expand on it. So we're not anti-flower. We're just saying get your foliage design base first, and then add on your floral element, your garden art, your stonework, your berries, whatever it might be that adds that next layer.
Yeah.
So that sounds great. Now I have something secret I know about Christina. I'm going to tell a secret here.
Shauna gives away secrets on every show, Christina, so I apologize in advance.
I do. I happen to know.
Real juicy then.
It's I won't tell the real juicy stuff. Shh, we'll keep that quiet. No, I happen to know that in her college years, she focused on color and design. Now, it's really important because, Christina, we're going to trick him and tell him your fun fact that I know I've heard many times from her. How many colors does the male eye see?
The male eye sees 300,000 colors. Isn't that wild?
I am blown away by that. But
amazing. But
yeah, here's the but. How many colors does the female eye see?
3 million colors.
What?
Yeah. So that explains, like when you go to a garden center, why women are attracted to certain things that have different colors than men are. It's not just the way that we think, it's also the way that we visualize.
I did not know that.
And so that makes like presentation at a garden center or, anytime that you connect with somebody about plants, it makes it very important. And for Christina, your foliage discrimination, telling the difference between foliages, women can really see the differences.
Exactly. Well, to put it in easy terms, Richard, when you're at the hardware store and you're trying to decide between, different colors of paint, and there's a lady there that has 8 different shades of white, and she's, standing there saying, yeah, I can't decide, and all the guys are saying, hey, you know what, they're all white, just choose one.
Yeah.
We really are seeing that differentiation, and I had a gentleman in Toronto the other day when I was speaking, when I brought up that fact, he stood up in the back and said, well, why? What's the point of this differentiation? And the point is because as men were evolving as a species, men were made to go fast, spear the food, run after it, collect it, and bring it back to the family unit as fast as possible. And women were developed to pick that berry that might not poison the entire family. So it's really an important distinction. But when you get into it even further, what's wild is that if you were to split the country up into, say, 4 quadrants, our eye cone colors are developed according to where we were raised mostly. So people who see certain colors, say, in Arizona, don't see them the same at all, say, in Alaska. So it really has an effect on, people's home color choices, their clothing choices, I mean, everything, their car, their dog.
How they live their life.
Yeah.
This explains to me why it takes my wife so long to get ready. And why I'm ready in like 5 minutes.
It does. And so when you're choosing foliage and colors and whatnot, that's why when a customer or a client says to me that they're talking about a specific color over and over, when it's a man saying it versus a woman saying it, then I have a completely different reply to how we're going to address that.
Yeah, well, that's important to know, and I honestly did not know that, and I'm going to look at things a lot differently now, just as in the, looking at plants and looking at consumers and why they choose things, because
that's it.
Well, I did not know that.
You can meet a person first off and see their eye color, their hair color, what they're wearing, maybe even what their car is, what color it is, et cetera, et cetera. Or when you come up to someone's house and you see their exterior color or the color of their pots or what they're wearing and whatnot, and you can immediately get a lot of really valuable information that way about what their choices are, what they're saying versus what they really want.
What I've discovered, when I went to Christina's garden, I got to see it in person. Wow. It is just wow. And she's really focused on, I love my favorite combinations of yours are burgundy, chartreuse, and blue. And she combines them, and they seem to be contradictory. And
Shauna loves burgundy and chartreuse.
I do. That's my thing.
I'm noticing a trend here.
We talked earlier about a coleus that was burgundy and chartreuse. I love the color combination, but when Christina throws in the blue, it totally rounds out the container that she's built. I mean, it's a knockout container versus just an average container.
Well, and it depends. I try on different color schemes every, year or so and tweak them and refine them and play with different ideas. And sometimes they're just dogs, and sometimes it's like, holy cow, that works. That color combination.
Do you have a favorite?
Works.
What is your combination from a color perspective that you really love?
I think lately, the last few years, it's been kind of taking those jewel tones and sunset tones. Mm-hmm. It so varies. I usually pick sort of one color theme every year so that I'll get all of my annuals in that color theme and then mix them with some of my more consistent colors. So last year it was hot electric orange and violet.
Do you go with the Pantone color of the year typically, or do you go on your own thing?
It's very interesting about that. I mean, having worked in color theory for so long, the color of the year, it takes time to trickle down into society and our choices and our options.
Absolutely.
So, for instance, when it was Tangerine Tango, you didn't start seeing people buying bright orange cars, for instance, for 2 years later.
Mm-hmm. So it's a long turnaround.
And it takes time for growers to kind of turn around and get up to speed on that too, with certain plant choices that are going to be in those colors. Mm-hmm. So last year's color was sort of like an emerald green. Mm-hmm. Well, we can go a million ways with that. Mm-hmm. So it'll be interesting to see if that is reflected next year as being a more important color than it is now, or whether we'll skip over it and go straight to the new one for this year.
What do we have for 2015? Is it a plum?
It's kind of a cinnamon red. It's sort of a winey cinnamon red.
Tone. Yeah, it's like a deeper red. It's unusual. So, yeah. Christina?
See, I can't distinguish the difference because I can only see 10% of the colors that you two can see. So.
See, we're telling you. All right, we are at the end of our segment, and I'm so sorry that we're going to have to say goodbye to you, Christina. But before we go, can you tell us more about what you'll be doing in 2015?
2015 is really all about working on the next book. That's going to be pretty all-consuming. It's due in Oh, the fall. And so we have our work cut out for us because it's a much, much larger book than the last one. And what's very exciting is that we're responsible for all the photography.
Ooh.
So, yeah, the pressure is on.
All right.
That's going to be amazing. I'm going to be cutting back a little bit on clients and a little bit on everything else just to get this book out at the highest quality we can make it.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for being on our show. And we will see you soon, I hope.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Christina.
I, so too. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care and have a great day. Thanks for being a part of the Good Green Home Show.
Thank you. Have fun.
All right, that was Christina Salwitz.
Salwitz. Yes.
All right, that was Christina Salwitz, author of Fine Foliage.
Yes, and man, is she filled with information.
And,
Isn't
you know,
she?
fashion and plants and colors are all very intertwined, and you can find all that at your local independent garden center. After this break, we'll be right back.
We will.
With the Good Green Home Show with Rich and Shauna.
Is your lawn being ruined by moles and voles? Bonide has the solution. Bonide Mole Max is an effective repellent to use against moles, voles, rabbits, gophers, groundhogs, squirrels, skunks, and other burrowing animals. The environmentally friendly Mole Max formulation makes it a great product to apply in areas where children and pets play. Just apply 3 or 4 times per year to send nuisance animal pests away. If your lawn needs some repair from mold damage, use Mole Max RX with Lawn Revitalizer. This will help repair your lawn while repelling the moles and voles. Bonide's Mole Max and Mole Max RX are available in a granule and easy spreader application or in a convenient 5-pound shaker applicator for flower or vegetable gardens. Bonide products are family made in America. Bonide Mole Max Mole and Vole Repellent is available at your local hardware store, garden center, or farm feed store, or go to bonide.com for a retailer near you. This product is not for sale in Indiana.
A lawn can only be as good as the grass seed it's grown from. Why not use the same grass seed brand grown by professional sod growers across America? The brand is Black Beauty by Jonathan Green. Jonathan Green's Black Beauty is able to grow roots up to 4 feet deep and has leaves that are naturally insect resistant. Whether it's in sun, shade, heat, or play areas, Black Beauty maintains a rich, dark green color. And unlike other grasses, Black Beauty has an invisible waxy coating, similar to what you find on an apple, which preserves moisture in the grass leaves and protects them from heat, drought, and disease. Black Beauty is also 100% pure seed with absolutely no fillers. Black Beauty is part of Jonathan Green's new American Lawn Plan. Seed your lawn with Black Beauty this weekend. Visit newamericanlawn.com to find your local Jonathan Green retailer. That's newamericanlawn.com.